Captain Hyunwoo Ryu sat in the command chair of the lead ship, the Thunderbolt. "All ships report ready," his officer said. "Then let's save Mars," Hyunwoo replied. The ships jumped to light speed using technology the aliens thought humans didn't have. The trip to Mars took hours instead of months. When they arrived, the scene was bad. 3 large purifier ships were shooting at the Mars domes. Parts of the colony were already on fire. The colonists were sending desperate messages. "This is Captain Ryu of Earth Defense Force," Hyunwoo broadcast to the alien ships. "Stop your attack immediately." The purifier ships turned toward the human fleet. They fired their weapons at the Thunderbolt, but nothing happened. The shots hit a shield that absorbed all the energy. "Impossible," the purifier commander said. "Their ships should be destroyed." "Show them what we can really do," Captain Hyunwoo ordered. The Thunderbolt fired a single shot. The energy beam cut through the purifier ship's shields like they weren't there. The alien ship's engines died. The other purifier ships attacked harder, but more human ships arrived. The battle was quick. The human ships moved in ways the aliens had never seen. Their weapons worked in ways alien science said was impossible. In just 1 hour, the purifier ships were either captured or destroyed. From a safe distance, Confederation observation ships watched in shock. They had come to see humans lose another colony. Instead, they saw human ships defeat enemies that would have troubled even the Confederation's best warships. "What have the humans been hiding?" an alien observer asked. No one had an answer. The big room was filled with angry aliens. Some had tentacles, others had wings, and some didn't look like anything humans had seen before. High Counselor Drixel, the leader of the Galactic Confederation, moved his 8 tentacles in angry motions. "Explain yourselves immediately," Drixel demanded. His voice boomed through the room. "You hid an entire space city. You built advanced ships in secret." Admiral Daehyun stood in front of the alien leaders. He wasn't scared. He wasn't nervous. He looked calm and confident. "For 20 years, you watched our planet," Admiral Daehyun said. "You judged us as too simple and primitive. You wouldn't let us join your science teams or defense groups. Did you think we wouldn't notice your spy satellites? Did you think we would just sit and wait for you to accept us?" The aliens looked at each other. Some made angry noises. Others looked worried. "You lied to us," said a tall, thin alien with blue skin. "No," Admiral Daehyun replied. "We just didn't tell you everything. The same way you didn't tell us everything." Professor Sung Ho-yoon stepped forward. He was the lead scientist from Olympus Station. He touched a small device on his wrist, and suddenly the room filled with 3D images showing Olympus Station. "While you refused to answer our questions, we found our own answers," Sung-ho said. The 3D tour showed the aliens everything. They saw farms growing food inside the space station. They saw power systems that made energy in new ways. They saw factories that built things the aliens thought were impossible. "This can't be real," said an insect-like alien scientist. "I assure you, it is," Sung-ho replied. "We can arrange visits if you wish to see it with your own eyes, or sensing organs." The alien leaders whispered to each other. Some looked angry. Some looked impressed. All looked surprised. Admiral Daehyun touched another button. New 3D images appeared, showing other space stations hidden in different places in the solar system. "Olympus is just one of several such stations," he said. "Humans have always prepared for the worst while hoping for the best." A 6-armed alien scientist studied the details of the human ships. She looked at the engine designs and weapon systems with all 4 of her eyes wide open. "This propulsion system, it combines ideas from 3 different science paths," she said. "According to our understanding, this shouldn't work at all." Professor Sung-ho smiled. "Yet it does work. Humans are good at connecting ideas that others miss." The 6-armed scientist looked at her fellow aliens. They mixed magnetic field theory with quantum tunneling and gravity manipulation. No single species in the Confederation has done this before. The meeting lasted many hours. The aliens asked hundreds of questions. Slowly, their attitude changed. The mockery was gone. The dismissal was gone. Now they looked at the humans with new eyes. At the end of the summit, High Counselor Xerxel's tentacles were calm. He stood tall and addressed the humans directly. It seems the Confederation has underestimated humanity's potential, he admitted. This was a significant error on our part. Admiral Dahian nodded. Yes, it was. What do humans want now? Xerxel asked. Revenge for our treatment? No, Admiral Dahian said. We want what we always wanted, to be treated as equals. To learn from you, and for you to learn from us. As the meeting ended, aliens who had laughed at humans just days before now looked at them with new respect. And maybe a little fear. What humans had done in secret had changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same. The new Earth embassy shone under the three suns of the Confederation capital world. Just 1 year had passed since humans revealed Olympus Station, but everything had changed. Ambassador Ju Park walked through the main hall of the embassy. Aliens of different shapes and sizes moved respectfully out of his way. No one laughed at humans anymore. High Representative Park, your meeting starts in 5 minutes, his assistant said. Ju nodded. He still found his new title strange. High Representative was a rank only given to the most respected members of the Confederation. In the large meeting room, alien leaders waited. Some floated in the air. Some sat in special chairs made for their bodies. All watched Ju with respect as he entered. The human-led research team has made another breakthrough, Ju told them. The new medical tool can heal injuries for all known species. The aliens looked impressed. Working together with humans had brought more progress in 1 year than they had seen in 20 years before. Back in the solar system, Olympus Station had changed too. The once secret base was now the busiest place in human space. Ships from many alien worlds came and went all day. In one lab, Dr. Jai Kwan worked side by side with Fort, a blue-skinned alien scientist with 4 arms. The way humans solve problems is different, Vort said as they tested a new device. Your minds jump from one idea to another in ways we don't. Jihai smiled. We make connections that might seem strange at first. It would take my people centuries to think the way you do, Vort admitted. Working together, we can do amazing things. On Mars, the colony that was once attacked had been rebuilt bigger and better. New domes with alien plants inside stood next to human farms. The colony hosted the first big cultural event between species. Inside the main dome, alien visitors tried human food, listened to human music, and looked at human art. Humans learned alien songs and games. I never thought I'd see a day like this, said Junno, the Mars colony director, watching alien children play with human children. On Olympus Station's main deck, Admiral Dahian stood looking out the big window. His hair had more gray now, and he was thinking about retirement. The view outside showed ships from many worlds docking at the station. Commander Minja walked up beside him. Quite a view, isn't it? She asked. Yes, Dahian agreed. Hard to believe it's only been a year. Did you ever think we would end up here when we started Project Olympus? Minja asked. Dahian thought about it. I just hoped we would survive if things went badly, he admitted. This is much better than survival. Below them, in the central open area of the station, children played. Human children born on Olympus ran alongside the children of alien diplomats and scientists. Their different voices and laughs filled the air. The station that had once been humanity's biggest secret was now the place where humans and aliens came together. It was a bridge between different worlds. One small alien child fell while playing. A human girl helped her up. The alien child made a happy singing sound that meant thank you in her language. The human girl smiled. Dahian watched this simple moment and felt proud. Humans were no longer mocked or treated as less important. They had earned something better than just respect. They were now seen as special members of the galactic family, partners who brought new ideas that made life better for everyone. The future looked bright for Earth and all its people as they took their place among the stars. The end. The Duro commander seemed skeptical. How would we time such an attack? And with what weapons? Our ship is not designed for offensive operations. Some men stepped forward. What about the adaptation devices from yesterday's challenge? They manipulate energy patterns. Could they be modified to create a targeted disruption pulse? The commander turned to a Duro scientist who had been observing the tests. After a brief discussion in their own language, the scientist nodded. Theoretically possible, the scientist said, but it would require precise targeting and timing. I can calculate that, Do-hyun said confidently, based on their previous attack patterns. Hae-yun felt the weight of the moment. Earth's first contact with alien life was now becoming Earth's first interstellar conflict. She looked at the three humans in the room, Jin-ho the linguist, Sung-min the engineer, and Do-hyun the strategist. Each brought different skills, different ways of thinking. Let us help, she said to the Duro commander. This is our world too. After a tense discussion among the Duro leadership, the commander agreed. We have limited time. The Vex will complete positioning within 2 hours. They worked frantically. Sung-min and the Duro scientists modified the adaptation devices to produce a focused energy pulse. Do-hyun analyzed Vex attack patterns to predict the exact moment of vulnerability. Jin-ho helped coordinate between teams, his translation skills proving vital as technical terms flew back and forth. Hae-yun moved between groups, seeing connections others missed. She noticed how Sung-min's modifications aligned with Do-hyun's timing calculations in ways neither had recognized. We need to synchronize these systems, she said, bringing the teams together. The pulse needs to match the exact frequency Do-hyun has identified. As they worked, the Vex ships completed their formation. The lead ship began powering its main weapon, a beam that could penetrate deep into Earth's atmosphere. Energy levels rising. A Duro officer reported. Estimated firing time in 3 minutes. The modified device was ready, but untested. It consisted of the 5 adaptation challenge components linked to the ship's main power system. Sung-min's hands moved quickly over the connections, making final adjustments. 2 minutes, the officer counted down. Do-hyun positioned himself at the targeting controls. I need to time this perfectly, he said. They'll begin their command sequence 5 seconds before firing. 1 minute. Hae-yun stood beside the Duro commander, watching the holographic display of the 3 Vex ships. Earth hung below them, beautiful and vulnerable. 30 seconds. Jin-ho joined them. Whatever happens, he said quietly, humans and Duro worked together. That means something. 10 seconds. Sung-min gave a thumbs up. The device was ready. 5 seconds. Do-hyun's fingers hovered over the controls. Command sequence initiating. Now. He activated the device. A pulse of energy, invisible but powerful, shot from the Duro ship directly at the lead Vex vessel. For a terrible moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, the lead Vex ship's energy buildup faltered, its weapon power down. The other 2 ships began moving erratically, as if confused by contradictory instructions. It worked. Sung-min shouted. The Duro commander immediately ordered, target their propulsion systems while they're disoriented. The Duro ship moved swiftly, firing precise shots at each Vex vessel's engines. Without coordination, the Vex couldn't respond effectively. Within minutes, all 3 enemy ships were drifting, disabled but not destroyed. Alliance reinforcements will arrive within 12 hours, the commander announced. We have saved your world today. Hae-yun looked at her fellow humans, each exhausted but triumphant. They had faced their first interstellar crisis, and humanity had proven its worth. 6 months after the Vex attack, Mi-jung stood on the observation deck of the Alliance vessel Harmony. The ship was massive compared to the Duro craft that had first visited Earth. Through the viewing window, she could see the space station where representatives from 12 different species now worked together. Earth was about to become the 13th member. Mi-jung had not expected this role. Before the aliens came, she had been a junior cultural attaché in the diplomatic corps. When the delegation was formed to meet the Darrow, she was included almost as an afterthought, someone to take notes and assist the senior diplomats. Now she would be Earth's first official ambassador to the Galactic Alliance. Nervous? Asked Jin-Ho, who had become one of her closest advisors. His tone translation system had evolved into a sophisticated language interface that all human representatives now used. "Can you access the ship's information systems?" she asked. Sung Min nodded. "Some parts of it. They've given us limited access. Show me everything you can find about the threat they're facing, the reason they need new allies." For hours, they pored over the information available. Most was vague, describing an expanding force from the outer systems that had already destroyed 2 civilizations allied with the Darrow. "They don't think like us," Heyun murmured, reading the reports. "They don't think like any Alliance species. That's why they need humans," Sung Min realized. "We're unpredictable to them." Heyun smiled. "Exactly. And tomorrow, we'll show them just how unpredictable we can be." As they prepared for sleep, a message arrived from Ril. "The final challenge begins at dawn. It will not be what you expect." Heyun wasn't worried anymore. Being unexpected was humanity's specialty. The final challenge never came. Instead, alarms blared throughout the ship, waking Heyun from a restless sleep. Red lights pulsed along the corridors as she rushed to the command center, where she had been told to report in case of emergency. Sung Min met her halfway. "Something's happening," he said, his voice tight with worry. "The Darrow are in full defensive mode." When they reached the command center, they found chaos. Darrow officers moved quickly between stations while holographic displays showed multiple objects approaching Earth's orbit. Ril spotted them and hurried over. "The tests are suspended," the alien said, its voice pattern reflecting urgency that even Heyun could recognize. "We face a real crisis now." "What's happening?" Heyun asked. "The Vex have found us," Ril replied. "The enemy we spoke of. They must have followed our ship to your world." Jin-Ho appeared with another human, a military strategist named Du-hyun, who had been working with the defense teams. Du-hyun's expression was grim as he studied the tactical displays. 3 Vex ships, Du-hyun explained to Heyun, larger than the Darrow vessel. "They're positioning themselves in high orbit." "Is this an invasion?" Heyun asked. Ril made a gesture that Jin-Ho had learned meant uncertainty. "The Vex do not invade in the way you might think. They transform. They change worlds to suit themselves, regardless of existing life." The main display showed 3 dark ships, angular and threatening compared to the smooth curves of Darrow design. They had taken position in a triangle formation above Earth. "They will begin by disrupting communication systems," Ril continued. "Then they will send probes to analyze your biosphere. Within days, they will begin atmospheric modification." Do-hyun stepped forward. "I've been studying your records of previous Vex encounters," he said. "Their strategy has a pattern." The Darrow commander turned to Do-hyun with surprise. "Pattern? The Vex are chaos. That is why they are so difficult to predict." "No system is completely without pattern," Do-hyun insisted. "May I?" He gestured to the control panel. After a moment's hesitation, the commander granted him access. Do-hyun brought up records of previous Vex attacks on Alliance worlds. "Look here," he said, pointing to data streams. "And here. And here. They always position their ships in the same formation relative to the planet's magnetic field. They always begin with the same sequence of atmospheric testing." The Darrow commander studied the information. "We never noticed this consistency. Humans are pattern seekers," Heyun explained. "Sometimes we see connections others miss." A new alarm sounded. One of the Darrow officers reported, "Energy buildup in the lead Vex vessel. They are preparing to fire. Our shields cannot withstand a concentrated attack from all 3 ships," the commander said. We must retreat and call for Alliance reinforcements. That would leave Earth defenseless, Sung Min protested. He-yun looked at Do-hyun, seeing the concentration in his eyes. You have an idea, she said. Do-hyun nodded. Based on the pattern, I think the Vex ships communicate in sequence, not simultaneously. They're powerful individually, but they coordinate in a specific order. He pointed to the tactical display. If we can disrupt the lid ship at the exact moment it transmits instructions to the others, we might create confusion in their attack sequence. After examining each device, He-yun realized something the others hadn't. The devices weren't meant to be used by one person alone. They were designed for collaboration. While the other candidates struggled alone with their equipment, He-yun approached the reptilian being. We should work together, she said, with Jin-ho translating nearby. The reptilian looked surprised but refused with a sharp gesture. The insect-like being didn't even acknowledge her. Only the blue humanoid showed interest. Why? The blue being asked through its own translator. These devices complement each other, He-yun explained. Look at the energy patterns. They mirror the connection points on the devices. The blue being, who called itself Tal, considered this. After a moment, it agreed to try He-yun's approach. Together, they made more progress in 10 minutes than either had made alone. He-yun's understanding of patterns combined with Tal's technical knowledge created an effective team. They figured out that the headset didn't just receive information, it transmitted the wearer's thoughts to the other devices. This isn't just technology, He-yun realized. It's technology designed to respond to different types of minds working together. The insect being noticed their progress and reluctantly joined them. Only the reptilian continued to work alone, growing increasingly frustrated. With 30 minutes left, the three working together had stabilized half of the energy pattern. He-yun suggested they invite the reptilian once more. We need 4 different minds, she explained. The pattern has 4 distinct components. This time, seeing their progress, the reptilian joined them. Each candidate now wore one device and operated another with their hands. Working together, following He-yun's coordination, they stabilized the energy pattern just as time expired. Ril and the other Daro observed silently. When the challenge ended, they conferred among themselves. Interesting, Ril finally said. 3 of you have seen similar technology before, yet you could not solve the problem alone. The human, who has never seen our technology, identified its true purpose. The devices were designed for cooperation, He-yun explained. Different minds working together create something greater than what any could achieve alone. Ril nodded. This is the principle of our alliance. No single species can overcome the challenges that face us. Only together do we have a chance. After the challenge, Sung Min joined He-yun in the human quarters. His eyes were bright with excitement. That was brilliant, he said. You didn't try to master the technology. You mastered its purpose. He-yun smiled. I couldn't have done it without understanding the technical aspects you explained to me last night. The way their technology integrates with consciousness. It's not something we would develop on Earth. Not yet, anyway, Sung Min said. But we could. That's what I've been studying. He showed her his notes and diagrams about Daro technology. While others had focused on what the technology did, Sung Min had been trying to understand how it worked. Their devices respond to emotional states as much as to logical commands, he explained. It's like they built empathy into their machines. He-yun saw the connections immediately. That's why the headset worked better when I felt connected to the others. It wasn't just reading my thoughts. It was reading my feelings about the team. That night, Ril came to speak with them. The alien seemed more open now, less formal. Your approach surprised us, Ril admitted. Most new species try to prove their individual worth. You immediately sought cooperation. It seemed obvious, He-yun said. The problem was too complex for one mind to solve. Not obvious to others, Ril replied. The final challenge tomorrow will test this quality further. After Ril left, Yun and Sung Min walked through the ship's observation deck. Through the transparent walls, they could see the ocean life swimming past, curious about the alien vessel. "What do you think the final challenge will be?" Sung Min asked. "Something unexpected," Yun said. "They're not just testing our abilities. They're testing our adaptability, our creativity, our humanity," Sung Min added. Yun nodded. "I think that's what they're really interested in. Not our technology or our resources, but our way of thinking." As they watched the sea creatures swimming in patterns around the ship, Yun had an idea. Instead of heading directly to the targets, she positioned her units near environmental features: a mountain range, a narrow valley, and a river system. When the other forces approached the objectives, Yun triggered her trap. Her units diverted the river, causing a flash flood that caught the reptilian candidates' forces. They used the mountain pass to ambush the insect forces. The blue humanoids' units were stronger, but Yun had studied their movement patterns and predicted where they would go. By the end of the simulation, Yun had secured 2 of the 5 objectives, while causing the other candidates to fight each other over misunderstandings she had deliberately created. The Daro observed silently. When the simulation ended, Rill approached Yun. "You controlled the weakest units," he said, "yet you succeeded where others failed. Explain." "In Earth's history," Yun replied, "we learned that direct force isn't always the answer. Sometimes understanding the environment and your opponent's psychology matters more." The Daro conferred among themselves. "Surprising," Rill finally said. "Most candidates try to overpower. You chose deception and environmental manipulation. Is that wrong?" Yun asked. "Not wrong. Different. The second challenge begins tomorrow." Later, in their quarters, Sung Min helped Yun study the alien technology they would face next. "The other candidates have seen these devices before," Sung Min said. "Their species have had contact with the Alliance for years. We're at a disadvantage." Yun looked at the strange mechanisms. "Then we need to think differently again. Tell me how these work." Sung Min explained what he had learned about Daro technology. It used principles that Earth scientists had barely theorized about. "The adaptive challenge will test how quickly you can learn to use alien tools and solve problems with them," he said. That night, Yun couldn't sleep. She felt the weight of Earth's future on her shoulders. If she failed, humanity might be deemed unworthy of Alliance protection. As she stared at the ceiling, she realized something important. The Daro weren't just testing skills. They were testing human nature itself. They wanted to see how humans thought, how they approached problems. "We don't need to be like them," she whispered to herself. "We need to show them why being human is valuable." The next morning, as she prepared for the second challenge, Jin Ho came to see her. "I've been talking more with Rill," he said. "I think I understand what they're looking for. The Alliance needs diversity of thought. They face an enemy that thinks in ways they can't predict." Yun nodded. "And they want to see if humans think differently enough to be useful." "Exactly," Jin Ho said. "So be yourself. That's our strength." Yun entered the challenge chamber with new determination. The Daro and the other candidates were waiting. On a table lay devices unlike anything she had ever seen. "The adaptation challenge begins now," Rill announced. Yun stepped forward, ready to show them what humans could do. The adaptation challenge began with 5 strange devices laid out before each candidate. Yun studied them carefully. One looked like a sphere with shifting patterns on its surface. Another resembled a glove with too many fingers. The third was a cube that occasionally changed color. The fourth appeared to be some kind of headset. The fifth defied description. It seemed to change shape when she wasn't looking directly at it. The insect-like alien immediately picked up the devices and began manipulating them with practiced movements. The blue humanoid and reptilian beings also seemed familiar with the technology, though less confident. "Each device solves a different problem," Rill explained. "Together, they can be used to stabilize the energy pattern displayed before you." In the center of the room, a holographic display showed a swirling energy field. It pulsed with unstable patterns, occasionally flaring dangerously. "You have 1 hour," Rill concluded. Hei-Yun hesitated. The other candidates were already working, connecting devices, and making adjustments. She glanced at Sung-min, who stood in the observation area. He gave her an encouraging nod. She picked up the sphere first, turning it slowly in her hands. Unlike the other candidates, who immediately tried to make the devices work, Hei-Yun took time to understand them. She noticed how the patterns on the sphere changed when she moved her fingers across it. "It responds to touch patterns," she muttered to herself. "They're surprised by us," Jin-Ho told his new team. "I could see it in their reactions. They didn't expect us to adapt so quickly." A week later, when the first official meeting between human leaders and Daro representatives took place, Jin-Ho sat next to Rill. They had developed a system where Jin-Ho could translate the general meaning of what was said on both sides. The Daro have visited 12 other worlds with intelligent life. Jin-Ho translated as Rill spoke, but none have learned to communicate with them as quickly as humans have. The human delegates looked pleased, but Jin-Ho sensed something more in Rill's tone patterns, something like worry or concern. When he asked about it privately, Rill showed him another star map. This one showed many more stars and systems. Others out there, Jin-Ho understood from Rill's explanation. Not all are friendly. That night, looking up at the stars again, Jin-Ho realized that Earth's first contact was just the beginning. The universe was more crowded than humans had imagined, and the Daro had come with a purpose that went beyond simple greeting. They needed something from Earth, and Jin-Ho would soon learn what that was. 3 weeks after first contact, Hei-Yun stood before the Council of Six. She had never imagined herself in this position. Before the aliens came, she had been a tactical advisor for the Korean military. Now she represented all of Earth. The chamber was inside the main Daro ship, which now rested on the ocean floor near Hawaii. The room was circular with walls that seemed to shift colors with the mood of the conversation. 6 alien representatives sat in curved chairs, 5 Daro, and 1 being from another species Hei-Yun had never seen before. "We face a decision," said Rill, the Daro who had first spoken with Jin-Ho. Jin-Ho himself stood nearby, using his tone system to translate. "Earth must be evaluated before full alliance membership." Hei-Yun nodded. The past weeks had revealed much. The Daro were part of a galactic alliance of 12 species. Their arrival on Earth wasn't random. They were searching for new allies against a growing threat from the outer systems. "The evaluation has 3 challenges," Rill continued. "Strategy, adaptation, and cooperation. You will represent your world." "Why me?" Hei-Yun asked. "I'm not a diplomat or a scientist." "Your mind patterns interest us," answered Rill. "You think in ways different from others we interviewed." Hei-Yun wasn't sure if that was a compliment. She had been chosen after the aliens scanned hundreds of humans. Something in her brain activity had caught their attention. "The first challenge begins tomorrow," Rill said. "You will compete against representatives from 3 other candidate worlds." When Hei-Yun returned to the human quarters, she found a man waiting for her. He stood looking out the window at the strange underwater landscape illuminated by the ship's exterior lights. "I'm Sung-min," he said, turning to her. "They assigned me as your technical advisor." Sung-min was an engineer who had been studying the Daro technology. He was younger than Hei-Yun, with quick eyes that seemed to analyze everything. "Do you know what these challenges involve?" she asked. "Not exactly," Sung-min replied. "But I've seen some of their testing equipment. It's like nothing on Earth." The next morning, Hei-Yun entered a large chamber where 3 other beings waited. One looked like a tall insect with 4 arms. Another resembled a reptile standing upright. The third was almost human-like, but with pale blue skin and no visible nose. Rill entered with 2 other Daro. "The first challenge tests strategic thinking," he announced. "Each candidate must direct their forces to secure objectives while adapting to changing conditions." The center of the room transformed into a three-dimensional battlefield. It wasn't a screen or hologram. Somehow the space itself became the simulation. Hei-yun could see tiny units representing different types of forces. This simulates a real conflict from our history, Rill explained. You will each control forces with different strengths and weaknesses. Hei-yun's units appeared to be the weakest in conventional terms. They had less power and slower movement than the others. She studied the terrain and noticed something the others seemed to overlook. The environment itself could be used as an advantage. As the simulation began, the other candidates moved their forces directly toward the objectives. Their strategies were straightforward and powerful. Hei-yun took a different approach. What are you doing? Some men whispered from behind her. They're going to reach the objectives before us. Watch, Hei-yun said. The Duro commander seemed skeptical. How would we time such an attack? And with what weapons? Our ship is not designed for offensive operations. Some men stepped forward. What about the adaptation devices from yesterday's challenge? They manipulate energy patterns. Could they be modified to create a targeted disruption pulse? The commander turned to a Duro scientist who had been observing the tests. After a brief discussion in their own language, the scientist nodded. Theoretically possible, the scientist said, but it would require precise targeting and timing. I can calculate that, Do-hyun said confidently, based on their previous attack patterns. Hei-yun felt the weight of the moment. Earth's first contact with alien life was now becoming Earth's first interstellar conflict. She looked at the three humans in the room, Jin-ho the linguist, Sung-min the engineer, and Do-hyun the strategist. Each brought different skills, different ways of thinking. Let us help, she said to the Duro commander. This is our world too. After a tense discussion among the Duro leadership, the commander agreed. We have limited time. The Vex will complete positioning within 2 hours. They worked frantically. Sung-min and the Duro scientists modified the adaptation devices to produce a focused energy pulse. Do-hyun analyzed Vex attack patterns to predict the exact moment of vulnerability. Jin-ho helped coordinate between teams, his translation skills proving vital as technical terms flew back and forth. Hei-yun moved between groups, seeing connections others missed. She noticed how Sung-min's modifications aligned with Do-hyun's timing calculations in ways neither had recognized. We need to synchronize these systems, she said, bringing the teams together. The pulse needs to match the exact frequency Do-hyun has identified. As they worked, the Vex ships completed their formation. The lead ship began powering its main weapon, a beam that could penetrate deep into Earth's atmosphere. Energy levels rising. A Duro officer reported. Estimated firing time in 3 minutes. The modified device was ready, but untested. It consisted of the 5 adaptation challenge components linked to the ship's main power system. Sung-min's hands moved quickly over the connections, making final adjustments. 2 minutes, the officer counted down. Do-hyun positioned himself at the targeting controls. I need to time this perfectly, he said. They'll begin their command sequence 5 seconds before firing. 1 minute. Hei-yun stood beside the Duro commander, watching the holographic display of the 3 Vex ships. Earth hung below them, beautiful and vulnerable. 30 seconds. Jin-ho joined them. Whatever happens, he said quietly, humans and Duro worked together. That means something. 10 seconds. Sung-min gave a thumbs up. The device was ready. 5 seconds. Do-hyun's fingers hovered over the controls. Command sequence initiating. Now. He activated the device. A pulse of energy, invisible but powerful, shot from the Duro ship directly at the lead Vex vessel. For a terrible moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, the lead Vex ship's energy buildup faltered, its weapon powered down. The other 2 ships began moving erratically, as if confused by contradictory instructions. It worked. Sung-min shouted. The Duro commander immediately ordered, target their propulsion systems while they're disoriented. The Duro ship moved swiftly, firing precise shots at each Vex vessel's engines. Without coordination, the Vex couldn't respond effectively. Within minutes, all 3 enemy ships were drifting, disabled but not destroyed. Alliance reinforcements will arrive within 12 hours, the commander announced. We have saved your world today. Hei-Yun looked at her fellow humans, each exhausted but triumphant. They had faced their first interstellar crisis, and humanity had proven its worth. 6 months after the Vex attack, Mai-Jung stood on the observation deck of the Alliance vessel Harmony. The ship was massive compared to the Darrow craft that had first visited Earth. Through the viewing window, she could see the space station where representatives from 12 different species now worked together. Earth was about to become the 13th member. Mai-Jung had not expected this role. Before the aliens came, she had been a junior cultural attaché in the diplomatic corps. When the delegation was formed to meet the Darrow, she was included almost as an afterthought, someone to take notes and assist the senior diplomats. Now she would be Earth's first official ambassador to the Galactic Alliance. Nervous? Asked Jin-Ho, who had become one of her closest advisors. His tone translation system had evolved into a sophisticated language interface that all human representatives now used.